All right. Higher Calling Podcast, episode number 16. Today I have Mr. Craig Gaspard Jr. He's a follower of Christ, president at Flow Lab, purple belt at BJJ with Gracie United, husband, inventor, entrepreneur, and royalty. What's up, Craig? How's it going, brother?
What's up?
All good, baby. I appreciate you coming on here, man. Give me the opportunity, man, to talk to you for a little bit.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Yeah, hopefully we could you could tell your story and get people interested, and maybe we can inspire a couple of people with some stuff that you got going on and get them rolling.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I seen you on the Book of Faces, and I really like you got some crazy stuff going on over there, man.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not a good production person. I just like making weird stuff, and people seem to like it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You really caught me with the whole, and I seen your tag or whatever, and it's inventor, entrepreneur, and royalty. And I was like, what's he inventing? And then I seen that crazy lift you had, and I'm like, that's so cool. Do you know how much cool stuff I could put in the back of my truck with that?
Yeah, definitely one of my favorites.
That is, man. Very cool. So, if you wouldn't mind, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got where you are on your journey.
Yeah. So from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, still live here, born and raised my whole life. If I could live anywhere else in the whole world, it probably wouldn't be here, if I'm being honest with you. But I was born again at age 23. I grew up in a body shop working on cars. I've been working on cars, doing body work since I was like 10 years old. My dad taught me everything you could probably know. I changed a bunch of motors. I got really mechanical with that. And I went through a trade school, dropped out of high school and went through a trade school when I was 17 for industrial instrumentation. Began working in the plants. Um, I was finished trade school. I was worked in the plants a little bit. I was back working at in our auto repair shop, and I was born again whenever I was 23 years old. I felt this. I had some people in my life that I knew who were believers, and I was had a lot of sadness inside of me. And I would go around that group of people, and I just saw that light, and
Very
I
cool.
tried to, for a while, tried to pretend to be like them. I said I would go to their church, I would go to church and try to do that stuff. And I remember pulling in the parking lot one, it was like my fourth time trying to go to church and pull the parking lot. And then, I just broke down. I said, God, the good people are in there. I said, those are good people. I'm not the good people. I'm bad. And you know, I don't know a way to be like them. It's too hard. There's nothing inside of me wants to, wants to live like that. And I didn't go into church that day. And then the very next day, a friend of mine, old man, he's dead now, but he invited me to a church, and I heard a presentation of the gospel. I heard that men are sinners, and that God sent His Son to die on the cross. And it was like the first time I had ever heard it. And I know you know what I'm talking about. It's
Yeah,
like,
it resonated with you finally.
yeah, it's like, wow. It's like, okay, that's true. I am a sinner, and anyway, it was a bridge to that goodness that I wanted. It was a bridge to be transformed from an evil, selfish person into at that time a good person. But you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, and I really feel like that's the moment my life actually started. And after I was born again, I started going to that church for a little while. And I didn't know anything about the Bible. I wasn't raised in church or anything like that. And one day, they had a Bible college, and I was like, "That's so far out of the realm." Can you imagine being, at 23, you think you're an adult, but you think
Oh
you're an
yeah.
adult working. You're still a baby. You don't realize that, but you're working, and then I'm like, man, it'd be cool to go learn the Bible. I don't know anything about it. It'd be really cool to sit there. And I said, but that's like so far out of my deal. And then I kept asking God, oh, should I go to Bible college? Oh, that'd be weird. I kept asking Him and then putting off the pull. Anyway, one day, so I'm working on this car. It was a Dodge Dakota or some truck or something. Anyway, it got wrecked in the front, and I start taking the truck apart. Pull the headlight out, take the grill out, take the bumper. Written in the metal behind the headlight, it said, "Did you ask the Lord to guide you?" Was written in the
Come
metal.
on.
And actually, this is the cutout from the fender right there. I don't know if you can see it, but it said,
I can kind of see it back there. That's
yeah,
cool, man.
it said, "Did you ask the Lord to guide you?" And I said, "You know what?" I said, "I did." And so I went to my dad. I said, "Hey, I'm not gonna work anymore. I'm gonna go to Bible college." He's like, "What? You trying to go be a preacher or something?" I said, "No." I said, "I just want to go like learn the Bible." And he thought it was absurd. And
Sure.
anyway, I did. So like I said, I did. I had sold my truck, got rid of all my bills, and went stayed in the dorms there, and I registered, and it was awesome. For like 2 years, I was able to just sit there and soak it up and just learn the Bible and just go through and, you know, really get a good foundation. So it was beautiful, beautiful time in my life. Met my wife, Jessica, in 2006. We met at church. I didn't talk to her for like a year. And then one day, I don't know, I worked up the courage and I called her and asked her out. And it's been awesome. We have an awesome marriage. It's been like 18 years now. She's wonderful. She's really wonderful. Um, and then I had an idea. So, I left Bible college, went back to work in the plants. I didn't know um, what else to do. I didn't have no other direction. And I worked there from about 2007. I worked in the plants until about, I worked at Exxon. I worked up and down the river, all these plants. Anyway, I got a job to work with one of the equipment manufacturers, and I started. I had an idea for a way to test a specific instrument that would help the plants out a lot. It would save them a lot of money, and it saved them a lot of downtime. And so I started asking the plants, like, "Hey, would if this was available, would you use this?" It was a software and a whole system. I built it out on the trailer, and they said, "Yeah, we would do that. We would use that." So I asked. I got a few of them to say they would needed that, and I knew they needed that. And so I told Jessica, I'm like, "Hey," she was working as a website photographer for a place. I said, "Hey, this is going to sound crazy, but quit my job, and we're going to go get in a whole bunch of debt, and we're going to start our own business." And she's like, "All right, let's do it." My wife's so ride or die. I don't know if that I'm cool enough to use that phrase, but whatever ride or die
Roll
means,
with it, baby.
I think that's what she is. So yeah, she's down
Yeah.
whatever. She's like, "We can always like live in an apartment. Who cares?" I'm like, "Yeah, you're right. Let's do it." And so yeah, I quit my job, and I started. Um, I was walking in the. I remember I quit my job, and I had to go. Before I quit my job, I had to go buy a bunch of stuff on credit because they don't give you stuff unless you have a job. And so I went, got all kind of debt. And I never had any debt before. I went, gotten all kind of debt. And I remember it was like a couple of days after I quit my job. I was walking in. We lived in a little condo, and I was walking in the neighborhood at the back. They had a back neighborhood by where we lived, and I was like, "What did I just do?" I'm like, "I cannot believe I just did
These
this."
crazy Christians.
Yeah. And I was walking, and then all of a sudden, I felt. I don't know if the Lord brought to my mind or whatever, but the moment that this is the idea that came to me. The moment that I found Christ was the pinnacle of success in this life. Like, he is the greatest prize in this life. And no matter what happened with that business adventure, if it failed, if it succeeded, that was irrelevant because I had already won. I had
Wow.
already won. We are already victors. And I'm telling you, I had chills up and down my spine. I was overwhelmed. This load was taken off of me. Um, and I just had a boldness after that. I had no fear. Like I said, I built out my system. I quit my job, and I don't want to go into details, but the Lord orchestrated every bit of getting me all the way across the finish line. It was about a month long build out plus another month of software development, blah, blah, blah. And I just started, I'd go to McDonald's and I'd get like 20 sausage biscuits, and then I'd go drive up to the plant I'd go over to Dow Chemical, Exxon Mobil, BASF, Shell. I'd coordinate with the maintenance supervisor. I'd have them come walk through my trailer. I'd give them breakfast and talk about it, and then boom, they just started falling down. And that was 10 years ago. And we have 65 accounts now using that system. Really awesome. It's been a really awesome. It saves them an incredible amount of money, and it's a much better way to do it. I could tell you later about the specifics. But anyway, the Lord really blessed that for us. And once after that launched, I've always sort of built stuff, invented stuff. Filed for a patent on that system there, which won't go into the details, but I didn't get that patent. It took a few years. I ended up not getting that patent for other reasons. Someone else signed their name on the thing and wanted to extort me to get it back. It's a long story, but either way. When COVID happened, I always tinkered in like robotics, drones. I was building drones in 2009 before you could even go and buy a drone off the shelf. But I had an idea during COVID happened. None of the vendors. Fortunately, I'm a maintenance item. My business wasn't really affected by COVID, but the plants couldn't really get their vendors in there. So I had another idea for an invention, which is called a remote connection box, which basically lets the outside vendors be able to connect to equipment and instrumentation inside of the plant and do maintenance tasks without needing to come in. And that was a big deal for COVID. So it's not like a team viewer. It actually basically remoted the USB port of their computer over cell towers right to the field equipment to help the guys.
So basically, you can remote operate all the processes.
Remote operate the maintenance on specific equipment. So It's a pretty common thing to bring in a vendor who makes a piece of equipment to work on it. If you don't familiar.
Very cool.
So anyway, that was a really good one for us. And then shortly after that, I developed another system called Links. We're in the Android store and in the iPhone store, and it links equipment data to field assets, kind of like a drive, like a Dropbox. But anyway, it's really been taken off. I've been trying to keep up with that also. So I'm juggling a few things, but it's been really fun. I love what I do more than anything, developing things, bringing ideas to market. It's kind of what I'm really passionate about. And I love that. I had a wild idea. I have a pending patent on the software stuff. I had a wild idea, and I told Jessica, I said, hey, this was crazy, and it's like swinging for the fences, but I really feel like the Lord wants me to do this. And it was a few years ago, and I said, I want to build a robot to stop the school shooters, to stop school shootings. And awesome. I said, it's going to be like expensive, and I've said, we probably need more money to make this happen than we'll ever have available to us. I said, but I want to just start building a prototype and see if I can make it work. And of course, she's like, yeah, let's do it. If she's ready to go. To this day, she's every now and then I'll get a little overwhelmed, and she'd be like, dude, we can always go and live in an apartment, and we've already won. We've already got the Lord. I'm like, yeah, you're right. So anyway, she's really cool.
That's really
cool. This robot. Yeah, ride or die. So so I had the idea. So it's a ceiling mounted robot, and it listens for the sound of a gunshot. So they come into the classroom and they discharge a weapon. We use the sound of that weapon to target the shooter. And then we have an 800 PSI gas canister that we ignite, and we shoot a net that's made for catching like deer and bison and buffalo. It's really entangling. It's, an 8 foot by 8 foot net, and it sort of entangles the shooter. It sends a text message to all the teachers and lets them know what classroom it just happened in, with a map of the school and law enforcement things like that.
What's the time delay in between that thing detecting and shooting?
Oh, half a second.
Wow.
Yeah, half of a second. Yeah, and it takes, in our tests, we went to the Ascension Sheriff, and he said we have use of all their facilities. We have access to whatever they need to make this work. They really want to make this work.
Absolutely.
And in our testing, it takes roughly 30 seconds to a minute to get yourself sort of untangled from it. So it's not like, not going to stop, but we just want to delay. We want to slow them
get
down.
Everybody moving in the right direction and get them out of harm's way.
Something
sure.
Like in the Uvalde shooting, for example, the gunman was able to shoot off 100 rounds in one classroom, just sit there and discharge 100 rounds. My idea
Right.
was like, let's stop them shooting, let them distract them, and let them deal with something else.
Sure.
So that was my idea with that one. And yeah, we've been rolling. I have a patent that we're very confident we're going to get. It's pending patent on that. Would you like to see it? I actually have the prototype
on that particular idea.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So this is the prototype here. This is the 4 sound microphones on the perimeter. This cartridge is the net cartridge. The net goes in here, and this is 4 barrels that pull the net out of its holder. We have our drive board and our CO2 canister. So we've been testing heavy, and we're just now in the fundraising part for this, and which is something I'm having to learn because I've never asked anyone for money in my life, and now I have to go and say, "Hey, here's this crazy idea that could maybe change the whole world. Can I have money?" And then I recently got a guy involved that he knows how to. I guess he raises money before, and anytime I guess people usually raising money to open like a yogurt shop. Like, okay, well, yogurt shop number 2 over there, they do this much yogurt a year, and so this percentage return you can get. And my pitch is basically like, you're probably not going to get anything back from this, or maybe you're going to become a zillionaire. I don't know.
Right.
So
have you called Shark Tank or Elon Musk with this or what, man?
I don't have Elon Musk's number, but
I think you should message him.
I know. Yeah, I mean, I feel like all the pieces are falling in place right now.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's I don't stop developing. I'll just use all my money to make it happen until I run out of money. But it's rolling along pretty good now. I'm really excited about it. It's something I'm not passionate to make money on. It's something that would be so cool to solve, or at least help, or at least deter. I mean, imagine solving 10% of that problem in some kind of a small way. So that's all I want to do. That's all I want to do. It's my ambition behind that is to not make money. That my ambition behind that is to help the kids, because
if you were able to save one life, everything was worth it.
Exactly.
That's crazy interesting. That's cool.
Yeah, and if you think about teachers, the culture behind, first of all, God bless teachers. Okay, I don't anybody that can teach
they have
kids.
A tough job nowadays with everything that's going on. People just talking to teachers crazy, and if they correct a kid, the parents lash out. And I just, like you said, God bless them, because I couldn't do it for the salary that they make a year. So yeah. Go ahead.
I imagine having to teach like a 15-year-old Craig. I imagine how awful I was, and then poor teachers have to deal with me. So anyway, they have enough on their plate for them to have to worry about maybe someone's going to come in here and shoot everybody up, or have to do these drills or walk through metal detectors. I think it just changes the whole culture, and I think that would be cool to take that off the table and let our kids not feel like prisoners, because they're not prisoners. And I think a school should be the safest place in the world. I really believe that. So.
Yeah, and I mean, adaptability of that. I mean, you could use it at banks and other institutions. I mean, it could be adapted anywhere once you get everything worked out. Have you got all the kinks worked out of it? The bugs?
We're surprisingly close. We're to the point now where we need people much more intelligent than myself, which I have some in the software development. I mean, I don't know a way to express my level of software development compared to the others out there, but I'm very, very basic. Like, it takes me a month to do what probably someone else could do in a day. So I got it working right now, but I want it to work better. We want to use the gun libraries to analyze the sound to, don't get false discharges in case someone slams the book down or something like that. But we also want to be able to deal with like suppressed weapons and lower. Right, it's based on sound level now. We want to be able to lower that and have a secondary check. But anyway, it's working now, but if you slam the book down, you get a net thrown on you.
Yeah, that teacher would be kind of upset if she gets upset at somebody.
You slam the door, you slam the door, get a net. So anyway, those are some of the kinks, but we're not far from working that out. That's really not that hard. But like I said, I have other things I'm doing to make a living and to pay for this. So I do need some help. And fortunately, the Lord's put really great developers in my world with my other application and things like that. So I got the people. They just don't work for free, and I can't ask them to work for free. Obviously, this isn't their burden. It's my burden. So
Hey, and look, this is Jordan Peterson quote, and I wrote it down and I kind of put it on my notes. If you stand up and do something correctly, people will care about it and open doors for you. And that's one of those Jordan Petersonisms. But I write that sometimes, and I'm just trying. It sounds like you're trying to do stuff correctly. I'm trying to do stuff correctly, and eventually, whenever you're trying to help people genuinely and you're coming at it from a very good perspective, people will help you. Yeah, dude, that's awesome. I like what you got going on, man.
thanks.
So, have you always been mechanically inclined like that?
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I grew up working on cars. My
Yeah.
mom said when I was like 5 years old, I was taking apart the blender and doing that kind of stuff.
So you could put the Legos together pretty good too, I'm assuming, huh?
Yeah, I can do the Legos for sure.
Dude, I think it's super cool whenever you were sitting there and then you talked about pulling that car apart and you got a word from the Lord like that, because everybody's like, Lord, just let me know if you need me to do something, and you open the dang light up and it's right there. That is so cool, man.
I know. That's probably like and I'm not one to ever, I don't think I've ever said the Lord told me. And I've never said that. I don't feel like I don't hear the audible voice. Like I shared that one time where I told you he kind of revealed, I felt that he was the great prize of this life. I felt that was powerful and from him to me. And he speaks to me through his word. When I'm reading the Bible, that's very powerful to me. But I guess something like that where I needed that, I guess he needed to prod me and give me something really obvious, like, hey, dummy, I guess I needed that.
Hey, some people they're good with a whisper. Some people like me, they need a stick cracked across their back.
Yeah.
Hey, dummy, pay attention, huh? Yes, Lord. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought it was funny earlier. You said, baby, I know you think this is going to be crazy, but I just want to, quit everything, quit my job, and then borrow a bunch of money. But it's only crazy if it doesn't work. It sounds like it's working out pretty good.
Yeah, we have a wonderful life. We get to work together.
That's cool.
Yeah, she's a rock star.
So she actually works with you with the company?
Yep,
Very
she's
cool.
sort of like an operations manager. She's got an awesome schedule, which is what I wanted to give her. So yeah, she loves what she does. She's very happy, and it's a real dream come true. I absolutely love my life. The
That's
Lord's
awesome,
opened it up more than I could have imagined. So.
Yeah, and I've been in a lot of different facilities, and we could talk after the cast, and maybe there's some facilities I might be able to help you get in if you're not in all of them, but I'm sure you got that covered. But maybe the possibility.
Okay. I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's no problem at all, man. Man, I like what you're doing out there. Like I told you, I seen you, and you got a lot of interesting stuff going on. Yeah, and it's really cool whenever the Lord speaks to you and you actually know that you hear from him. Just like when you were saying earlier that when you were walking through the alley and the Lord told you all that stuff, and like he downloaded it to you and it gave you the chills. Yeah. And it's my buddy told me one time, and it's with this podcast, and I was like, man, I don't know how this is going to work. And he said, didn't you tell me the Lord told you to do it? And I was like, yeah. And he said, well, the Lord told you that you'll be successful. He said, if he didn't tell you that, it's just you, it won't succeed. So you'll know.
That's good advice.
I was like, well, I appreciate the vote of confidence, man.
Cool, man. Well, that's exciting. Right. That's exciting for you. I'm happy, man. That's cool. It's cool that you're stepping out like that.
Yeah, and I mean, it's really cool because the Lord's putting some cool people in my directions, and I mean, I started this off. I found some software that we're on right now, this Riverside app, and I bought a $13 set of headphones. I bought a $14 camera, and I'm able to talk to people like you that's at your office, and I'm at my house and trying to speak to whoever. So there's really no excuses for me not to be able to do it. I just got to find people that are willingly and volunteer, because who am I that people want to talk to me? Not everybody wants to talk and be on somebody's podcast, and naturally I'm not going to be able to talk to a Donald Trump or an Andrew Tate or a Elon Musk, because they like that it's not worth my time. But people like you that I know personally in the area that I see that are doing something, like I said from the get-go, appreciate you coming on here and just giving me the opportunity just to talk about what the Lord's doing in your life, your spirituality and all that stuff. And just sounds like you've got a really good brain for inventions, kind of like a Leonardo da Vinci almost.
Well, I don't know about that.
I
Maybe.
would, I mean, you got ideas. It's just popping in your head, and I'm assuming you just write these ideas down, and then you just got to figure out how to solidify them and bring them into manifestation of vision in your head, huh?
Yeah, yeah, that's sort of it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I get it.
When do you like come up with most of your ideas? Do you have like a spot or like an area that you go to where the muse kind of speaks to you, or does the Lord download it to you while you're sleeping? You wake up, write it down into a notebook. How does that?
No, it's probably I probably have 1,000 ideas. I just go throughout, and then sometimes one of them really sort of pulls at you, and then it sort of keeps recurring, and then you think through it a little bit more. So yeah, a lot of them. It's definitely what I was built to do. I mean, the little stuff I'm coming up with is nothing compared to these guys that, and I think all inspiration comes from God. I think all these guys that founded our country, I think that um, these guys developing our financial system, for example, Andrew Jackson and those guys were like 21 years old. I mean, that's like incredible. These guys are, people inventing the light bulb or figuring out, like nuclear fission and fusion. And obviously, Elon Musk, he's got, you know, Starlink orbiting the Earth. I mean, these guys, there's incredible people. I'm just down here in Prairieville making little gizmos and stuff, but I love it. And it excites me, brings me joy. And, you know, the joy of my life and the older I get and the longer I live with the Lord, it really is God. And it's an eternal joy. And that's what's so sweet about it. It's that whenever I just had we just had to put our dog down like 2 weeks ago.
Sorry to hear that.
But yeah, I appreciate that. But one thing about it is like when you're a believer and when God is your source, even the hard times in life and even the bad things that happen to you, the when you lean into the Father, like when your heart kind of knee jerk goes back to Him, He always meets you there, and he's like the healer of the brokenhearted. And it's almost like the darkness of this world or that the suffering for us almost turns into a blessing in a way because it brings you closer to Him. So it's like it's a little bit of confidence. Like this stuff, I feared my dog dying. She was 8. She was a Great Dane. They only live 5 to 10 years or whatever.
Wow.
So it's not
Okay.
like we know she'd die, but really, the Lord gave me so much comfort in it. It was
Mhm.
obviously sad and missed her, but the Lord gave me such a perspective that it was such a beautiful experience to get to have her. And she's gone, and she's sort of fulfilled. She added such beauty and excitement to my life and increase to my soul. And I was grateful that I got to experience her. And so that thing I feared losing her for I first wanted a Great Dane. I said, let's just get a Great Dane because they don't live that long. So we get tired of having a dog. And then after
Right.
she was like 3 years old, I'm like, Lord, this dog can never die. But I was worried about her dying, and then she died, and the Lord, gave me such peace in it that I'm like, I can probably get through anything with the Lord, and I believe that's true.
Yeah, because I got a pig in my backyard. We took a potbelly pig in, and I'm so ready for that thing to go right now. And it just all it does is eat. It's so big, it's blind, like you can't see anymore. And I'm just like, man, I just wish that thing would go. My wife says they live to be like 15 or 20. I'm just like, oh my god, what am I doing with that thing?
It's like
But
a pet.
yeah, it was kind of we took it in, and one of our friends, they was like, hey, we got this potbelly pig, and we're trying to get rid of it. And when we got it, it was a mini pig, and it was this big, as big as your foot, cute as a button. And a mini pig technically is anything underneath 150 pounds. He's like 270 right now, so he is not a mini
Nice.
pig anymore, and like he is just way too big. But
It's
yeah,
funny.
I got him, and I thought I was going to be able to cook him. And my wife says you can't eat him. I said, why not? She says because we gave him a name, and he's a pet. I'm just like, I don't like that attitude. We are never naming another pet.
Yeah, that's
Hey,
funny.
but yeah, but going back to what you were saying, the Lord gives you a sense of comfort, and He always, takes care of you wherever you're at. And a buddy of mine told me one time, he says, God is like an ATM. I was like an ATM. He said, like, yeah, at that moment, ATM, whenever you need it, that's when He supplies it. Just like you need money, you go to that ATM and you draw money out. whenever you need something from the Lord and you actually need it, not that you want it, but you need it, he said,
Right.
that's your ATM. He's your source of security in and out. So I always thought that was cool.
I love that. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. What kind of work did you do when you were in the plants?
Industrial instrumentation is my
Okay.
trade. Yeah, I
Cool.
was an instrument tech. Yeah, I worked maintenance.
You got that from like a VOTEC or whatever technical
Yeah,
college?
exactly. Yeah, I
Okay.
dropped out of high school when I was 17. I went and took the GED test and they gave it to me, and then I went right into trade school. And like by the time I was 19 years old, I had an associate's degree in instrumentation,
Did you
industrial instrumentation.
did you do the 6 month class or did you do the 2 year class or whatever it
Yeah, the
was?
2 year one, the
Okay.
associate's degree. Yeah, the 2 year.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Yeah, because man, I'm almost sure like whenever I first got out of high school, I think the VOTEC, it was just like everybody went to school for PTEC, and I think back then it was six months or something like that. And then now whenever people try to go, it's like 2 years. And I was like, man, I could have slid
Yeah.
in and out really quick.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what was say like your first invention whenever you realized that you just wasn't dreaming of stuff that you actually, were like, okay, some of the stuff I'm thinking of can actually work. Do you remember that?
Um, no, I don't think I ever had a fake confidence. I know my you could probably ask my mom. She would probably know. I know I do remember when I first started driving, I rerouted. I took the windshield washer um motor system, and I put it in a bottle of Crown Royal, and then I had the tube running behind my visor, and then when you're driving, you could hit the washer and it would fill up your cup with Crown Royal. I was like, I was like 17 years old, and
Yeah.
I didn't know the Lord back then, so don't judge me
I
too bad.
Nah, I wouldn't, man. We all go through it. We got to go through it to get to it. You had any crazy stuff would happen with any of your inventions, kind of like a Wile E. Coyote moment, where anything kind of blew up on you or took a
Oh,
crap?
one time I got stuck in a tree. I had this huge rope. I had this huge rope swing in my backyard, and it ultimately ended up with propellers. So it was tied, it was tied up to a really tall branch in an oak tree, and I had two propellers on it from like an RC airplane, and then I had two controller like joysticks, and you could actually fly yourself. Like you get momentum and hit the gas, and you could steer yourself, and I could get it almost parallel with the brakes. Like it would get you so high.
Really?
It worked surprisingly well. Actually, made a video and it went on Live Leak and got like it went viral. I was flying my brother around in it. I was hoping he'd fly off it. Like that was when I first made it. I had to control whoever was in the swing, and
Right.
and then I couldn't get people to go on it with me flying it, so I had to make it where they control themselves. Oh, but anyway, so yeah, one day I had this idea. I'm like, well, I'll just put a winch in that tree over there, and then I'll winch myself. I'll sit in the swing and I'll winch myself up. And then when it gets to the tippy top, I had this little pin that would pull it pull from the ground, and then it would release it, and I would swing. Anyway, it winched me all the way up in the tree. I had a car battery at the bottom. I hooked up the wire to the car battery, and I ran and got in the swing, and it winched me all the way up, all the way, and then the pin didn't release, and I was just sitting there like 50 feet off the ground, like no one around, nothing to grab onto. There was nothing. And then I was there for like 20 minutes probably. And then I saw an old man, my neighbor, and I yelled at him. And he came walking in the yard and he couldn't find me. I was like way up in the air.
Uh-huh. In a
And
pine
then
tree.
he finally looked over at me. I said, hey, I said, Mr. Don. He's like, look up there. I said, hey, you see that car battery by that tree? Can you go swap the negative and positive wires so this thing will let me down? So yeah, that's one. Yeah, that was one of the things that happened. I could probably remember a lot of stuff that failed like that, but I don't. I usually used to make my little brother test all my inventions, and then he started hurting himself, and so
Yeah, well that's
I have
what
a
little
good
brothers are
test
for,
pilot.
right? Huh? Punching
Yeah,
bags. That's why they get so tough, huh?
yeah.
Yeah, that's cool, man. What's your little brother do for a living?
He lives in Denver. He does IT stuff. And I'm way simplifying. He does high level infrastructure, whatever, data center.
Cool.
I'm just
Is
saying
he
words. He does stuff.
it is he anything like you, like invention wise or idea wise or
Yeah,
He
he
just
is brilliant. No, he's brilliant. Yeah, he's brilliant. I don't know if he does come up with ideas and things like that. I don't think he went like the dad route. He's got 4 kids and he stays busy with them. He's a great dad and good husband and all that. And he's just hard worker and all that stuff. But yeah, he's really smart. I'm sure if he had the free time that I have, he would probably be inventing stuff too.
yeah. You guys got any kids yet?
No, no,
No,
18
no kids.
years. Jessica, she never wanted kids, and I said I'm okay either way. And
Okay.
so yeah, we never had kids, and I never had a burden to, and it worked out. Now, now looking back on it, I'm grateful. Not grateful, but I could see in the plan why it hadn't happened. So
Yeah, I got you. I got you. Oh, what's some of the best advice you ever had gotten from anybody? That's
yeah, no, that's good. Um, rest in the truth of who you are because of Christ's death on the cross. Um, that's the best advice that I got because when we're in that spot, that's when the Spirit of God, His Holy Spirit, as Paul outlines, can transform us, can truly bring about love, joy, peace, and ultimately work out His purpose and calling in our life. And if we sometimes just circumstances of this world or just reality or religious or religion or whatever might try to guilt us or motivate us to do other things. But like if we just remember, that's why I have royalty in my profile because uh, the United States of America didn't declare that I was royalty. Um, the DMV didn't declare that I was royalty. It was the God of the author of this reality, the architect of this reality. That moment that I accepted His sacrifice, boom. He said I'm royalty, and I know I don't look like it, and I know I don't act like it all the time, but He said it, and what He says goes. He says, "Let there be light," and there's light, and so He's the one that said that.
yeah, and it's really cool because whenever you first start reading the Bible is the most popular book, by far, all history, all over the world, all of the literature and everything in the world is written around the biblical corpus. And whenever you first read it, I was raised Catholic, and they read the book to us and they told us what it meant. And then whenever I got to the church I'm at now, it's like read your Bible. And I was like, no, you're supposed to read the Bible. They said, no, you're supposed to read it. And when you first start reading it, it's kind of hard to figure out what they're talking about. And you probably, the way you kind of explain it to me, you might see some of this stuff too. But whenever you actually start seeing your story in the Bible, it's just kind of like, oh, okay, this is about me right here.
Yeah.
And I've kind of read it sometimes, and like the Lord will download something new into me, and I was like, wait a second, when did Paul put this in here for me? And it's just like he's writing this about me right now, and I'm just like, it's just like, but it has so much meaning because you're going through something, and it's just kind of like that living word is being transferred into your life, and it creates meaning in your life.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
beautiful. Yeah, it's incredible. It's cover to cover. It's the most incredible book that we have, and it's inerrant. I believe it's inspired word of God. I believe, yeah, it's powerful, and it's something up until 100 years ago, only about 20% of the world was even literate, could even read at all. And then, as you know, the printing press wasn't invented until 14 whatever or 16 whatever. So Christianity has to work without even the ability to read. So it definitely can't hinge, but everything in the Bible points to that truth of, I mean, from Genesis to Revelation, it points to the truth of the cross. And it points to God's sacrifice. And everything we get from God comes through that sacrifice. And the more we read, the bigger that and the more real it becomes for us, and the more opportunity He moves and works. And I believe inside of us. And yeah, it's incredible. It's incredible. You know, 44 books. Over what 1,600 years, 40 different authors, and there are 66 books. Yeah, so over that time frame, and every single one of them, no contradictions, Genesis to Revelation, And yeah, it's just powerful. And if you look at the, whenever I was in the Bible college, because the Catholic Bible has more books, the Apocrypha, and then there's some other books like the Book of Enoch, for example. There's some other books that weren't included in the canon of Scripture that we had. And I'm like, Lord, how do we know this is the Bible? How do we know like they didn't just cherry pick this here and this there? And I was reading something, and if you look at the Book of Isaiah, the Book of Isaiah it was written some time period. I think it was about 1,000 years or 1,600 years before the completed Bible. No, wait, maybe it was 400 years. Yeah, just say 400 years. This might be wrong.
Yeah,
correct me later. But so before the completed Bible, before King James before they decide the Council of Nicaea, whoever decided what books would be included, you can look in the Book of Isaiah, and it's a perfect miniature Bible. It has 66 chapters, just like the Bible we use has 66 books. And the divisions of 39, like the Old Testament, Isaiah has the 39 chapter. So it's almost like the only way that could have happened is if whoever put that together could see the future, all the way future. That's the only way. So it's kind of a little bitty check inside the Bible, like, hey, you got the Bible. It's kind of like a reassurance to us, like you got everything that's supposed to be there.
Some people even might say that might have been a prophet, huh?
yeah. It's God. God had to be able to see the whole completed Bible.
And it's really cool because I cannot do it, and I can't. I try to stay away from the Apocrypha, and I can't read the Ethiopian Bible because it's got 67 books and it's got all that stuff. And somebody told me, "Oh, have you ever read all of that other stuff?" I said, I have enough time reading the 66 books of the Bible, you know what I mean? And trying to get enough, I have enough revelation in those books. And I've got a buddy of mine, one of my pastors, and I actually met him. He actually led to my salvation when I was working at the car lot. And the Old Testament mirrors the New Testament, or the New Testament mirrors the Old Testament. And he can go through there and read something in the Old Testament, and he can bring you to the New Testament and read to where it actually references the Old Testament and vice versa. And it's just so cool. Just like you're talking about, it's almost like they had to be inspired by God to write this book in the way it's written and put together. And I've never heard anybody say that, about Isaiah, 66 books, and it actually mirrors the Bible. That's very cool.
Yeah. You could when you open that Bible, and it's another language, so it has to be translated. So obviously what we read. But yeah, you could rest assured that what you have there is the inspired word of God, and it's inerrant in its original language. So, yeah, it's powerful. It's really cool that we get to have it,
Yeah. So, what do you feel the calling is on your life?
I don't know. Honestly, I've always felt called to teach. I mean, like I said, I love expositional teaching of the Bible. Like I don't like the idea of, okay, everyone, it's bad to steal, and then go find cherry pick verses in the Bible that talk about why stealing are bad. I would rather read through the Bible, dig into context, dig into the content, dig into the structure of the sentencing and the wording and the original language, and really bring to life what the Bible says, and let your message come out of that. Like we believe it's the word of God, unerrant. Why don't we just bring to life what it actually says? And so, yeah, I feel called to teach, although no one's ever asked me to teach. I was at one church for like 17 years. No one ever asked me to teach there, or even asked me my testimony one time. So I don't know. Maybe I seem a little worldly, or maybe the Lord's timing for me. But either way, I felt called to do that on some capacity. So yeah, maybe that'll work out someday.
Well, are you involved in any big Bible studies or anything like that, or anything like that? Yeah, that'd be a good thing for you to get into, because we do something, we call it adult Bible school, and we do it Sunday morning before service starts, and we get together, and one of the pastors, he kind of, we get together and somebody will read a couple of verses out of a chapter, and sometimes we only get one verse. Sometimes we get 20 verses. But as we read, you read from verse 14 to say 20 or whatever it is, where there's a kind of like a thought pattern or an idea, and we'll sit there and we'll get to discuss it, and people will give testimonies about what they had, what the word meant to them or experiences in their life. And so it's kind of like almost like a round robin, and everybody talks about, transitions and what they're going through or what they've been through. And it's really cool to hear, say, like older believers, their life experiences, because they've seen so much. And it's kind of transformational to, I say, people like me, young people, because I'm in my 40s, but I'm still a baby Christian to myself because I have so much to learn. I still get frustrated. I still react in anger sometimes. And I see a lot of older people, and they're just so patient and they're so calm. And I just see them, and it's really cool to hear, how, just like you're talking about, that the Lord was with you every step of the way, and to hear you on your journey, and that you giving all glory and honor to, the God of heaven's armies. And it's just really cool to see that.
Yeah. And I mean, I've been a Christian for like, I guess, 22 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And you might say, wow, Craig is so calm. He's such a good temper. But if you were to drive with me in Baton Rouge traffic sometimes,
Yeah.
you might not think that. So I know we're not gonna. I know he's working on me continually, and I'm just resting and letting him work with me. So we're never gonna ride anywhere, but we've already won. There's no next level in your Christianity. You've got everything, the full caboodle. Now he's just, his spirit's working on us. As long as we don't get tricked into being doing religion instead of rest, he'll keep working on us. Religion gives us the mindset that we're earning it, and then he has to stop and wait for us to run into a brick wall and get back. Oh, I'm sorry, Lord, I can't do this, and then he takes back over and picks us up. So, yeah. Anything, I'm just more. I guess that's growing in grace and the knowledge of the Lord, and I guess growing in grace is basically, I need more grace, or I probably always needed way more grace than I realized. I guess as you get older, you growing longer, you just realize how much grace you really, really need, and you're more grateful for it, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you know what grace is, huh? Undeserved favor. You didn't do anything to, earn it, but somebody gave it to you. That's really cool. Hey, and when you do get stuck in Baton Rouge traffic, this is something I figured out a long time ago, because I do a lot of traveling on the road. I've been in and out of the Baton Rouge traffic, going back and forth to Exxon. I've been all over the place. And I do something that's called the rocket prayer. Somebody will cut me off, and somebody will do something to me in traffic and jump the whole line and slide in. And man, I used to lose my Jesus. I used to lose my cool, and boy, I would cuss them. I don't cuss them anymore, but they get me flustered for almost a whole day. And now, whenever they do that stuff, I go ahead and pray for them. I say, Lord, bless them. Let them get to that job where they done showed up late 4 times. They're about to get fired. Let them get there on time. Let them get to the hospital where their wife's about to have a baby. Let them get to that funeral where somebody's doing. And I don't even know if it blesses them, but it does bless me, because I'm responding with a prayer for them instead of some type of rage or anger. So I call that a little rocket prayer,
Nice. I like it. Well, what kind of work do you do?
So I work in the refineries, and I'm a business development, a salesman, and also an API inspector. So work outages, turnarounds, and trying to business development for a small company called Innovative Plant Consulting out of Amy.
Okay. So what do they do? What do they sell?
Non-destructive testing, PT, MT, RT, UT, all of that stuff, inspection services, remote testing, robotic services, drones, and all that type of stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah. So, and we actually have a hydroblasting division. So just all kind of little stuff, just anything that can help people out. That's what we're trying to do.
I like it. Well, we need to talk about this. I think I got something to help you out.
Absolutely. Well, I'm looking for some innovation, man. And if we could partner up and kind of get you in somewhere and you could help us out, I mean, that'd be ideal.
Yep.
God might have set this up,
Hey man, I have about 65 accountants up and down the river here. I'll give you the contact for every one of them for sure.
Absolutely, same thing. It's reciprocal. If I could do anything to help you out, I'd do the same. What do you see yourself in, say, 3 to 5 years?
Um, Hopefully, I'll be implementing this net system and this robot system into schools. Then I hope to be as deep as I can into that, and that's kind of where I see myself right now. So that's what I want to do. I want to, I don't. Retirement never really sounded appealing to me. I just want to live the life I want to live the whole time I'm here, and then, yeah. But that would be cool to dedicate my life to that, and then I don't know, drop dead one day.
From hard work and dedication.
Yeah, we're
After
drop dead from be on the ladder or something, hooking up a wire and have a heart attack or something. That'd be a cool way to
Oh
go.
man. Well, I mean, hopefully at the end of it all, we're like Paul over there. I fought the good fight. I've ran the good race. Now I go to get my crown of honor with the Lord.
Nice.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Oh, yeah, 100%, man. Oh, tell me about BJJ.
Oh, I love BJJ. I mean, it's as you know, how long have you been training?
3 to 4 years, I would have to say.
Okay. Yeah,
What
we've
about
probably been
yourself?
about the same amount of time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love it. I went to Gracie Ascension here. Robbie Gotro, he's a professor there, and I'm about 210. I've been in the gym my whole life. Well, past decade mostly. I've been in the gym a good bit. Pretty athletic guy. I play sport. I felt pretty athletic, and I go in there and let me go try this out. Might be something fun way to get a little exercise or whatever. And everybody
Best
beat me up
best
easily.
cardio you ever had.
Yeah, I mean, and there's people, 150-pound guys, and I was helpless. I'm like, this is incredible. It was like magic. I'm like, these guys can beat me up, whatever they wanted to do. I'm like, I can't believe I've been walking around and didn't realize how helpless I was. I'm like, good thing I didn't get in a fight. I mean, I got in a lot of fights when I was a kid, but fortunately, no one else knew how to fight either. But could you imagine coming across one of these BJJ guys in the street and trying to get in a fight with them, dude?
Yes,
You would. That would be
yes, sir.
embarrassing. So
And it's like everybody. I'm assuming you too, but everybody's got this high ideal of themselves. Like, oh, if this ever happened, I'll whoop this guy or yada yada yada.
yeah,
Yada. And so, and I had, man, it's so I thought about it and I heard about it and I heard Jocko talking about it. I heard Joe Rogan talking about it, and I heard all these guys talking about BJJ. I was like, I'm gonna go do that one day. I'm gonna go do that one day. And dude, it took me like 3 years, and I finally went and do it. So I train underneath Kurt Hollabaugh over here in Amite, Louisiana, and Kurt fights MMA, fights UFC, and we got a bunch of fighters over there that train underneath him, and they're actually up and coming fighters, very talented guys. So
okay.
I was 40, and just like you were saying, I used to get in a lot of fights when I was young. I used to like to fight, but so anyway, I went over there, and hey, you got to sign this waiver. So I was like, cool. They gave me a gi. They let me go over there, and there was this kid Jesse, and he's 16 years old, and I can look at him, and he's older now, but like we were sitting there, and he's kind of sitting down, and he's just sitting there looking at me real calm, and I'm I'm just kind of like, your first class, you're like, what do I do? And so I'm 215, 220 pounds. I'm 40 years old, and I'm like, I'll whoop this kid. And he just kind of looks at me, and he's 160 pounds, 16 years old. And he proceeds to grab my sleeve, just calm as could be. And he triangled me so fast before I knew what happened. I'm like, huh. And, and I was like, you are not going to do that again. He did it to me 4 more times in a row in that 5 minute round. And I was like, there's something to this, and I'm gonna keep coming back until they can't do this to me 4 times in 5 minutes.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. So same thing. Everybody was beating me up. The women were beating me up. We got some incredible female competitors at our gym.
Y'all,
But
y'all
I
got
mean,
some great
as a
fighters.
man, as a man, like as a man, to know that there's this lady out there that's 130 pounds that could beat you up. It does. I don't know what it's. I guess shattering your egos is
Yeah,
to put it
it
lightly.
hurts you right in the
It
feels.
hurts. Oh man. So I don't know. So yeah, like I said, I did after about 3 months, I was just getting murdered. Every, I'd lay on the bathroom floor. I couldn't sleep at night. My ribs hurt, and I'd go on the cold floor after and just lay there. And I called Robbie. I said, Robbie, I don't know if jujitsu's for me. I said, whatever wires that connect my brain to the rest of my body must not have a good connection or something. And then he
Something
sent me
shorting
this.
out.
Yeah, so he sent me this book, this like about white belt basics, and like it was all about jiu-jitsu basics or something. It's a cool book, but it was
Mm,
about protecting yourself. At white belt, this is where you're supposed to be focused on, and then
sure.
I changed my thinking from trying to win, and I changed it from, okay, they tapped me 5 times this round. Let me see if they can only tap me 4. And then I said, okay, let me see if they can only tap me 3. And I would just survive, and I would just survive. And then 2. And then eventually I could go a whole round and I wouldn't die and I wouldn't lose. And then I started noticing like they're really getting winded. And I'm like, look, they just left their arm out there. And I started seeing opportunity. And then that's how, and then, I mean, even to this day, I'll go back to white belt defense. Like if I get into bind and I get lost, I don't know what's going on. Anyway, and it turned really fun after that. It was like my ego wasn't about beating them. It was about surviving.
Yeah,
And then as you know, you just sort of really bond with all the people there. They become like, it's hard to explain the friendship that you develop, but you are genuinely rooting for your friends. Like they
yeah,
might they might fly and they might hit you in some painful armbar or freaking kimura, but like you're tapping and all, and then part of you is really happy for them. You're like, oh, that was sick. You like
yeah. You
appreciate
got
that
me.
that they got you. So
Yeah.
yeah, you just develop these really these lifelong bonds with, in my opinion, some of the best people on the planet. Because to subject yourself to that kind of punishment consistently,
And keep
and
coming back.
keep coming back, and it teaches you some really perseverance about regular life. Like you go to a sales meeting and they don't like what you're selling, and it doesn't shatter you. You're like, okay, I wonder what I could change just a little bit better about that. Or, it just makes you really unstoppable, in my opinion, because you'll keep going back. And like, okay, I'm a white belt at sales, whatever.
Right.
I'm going to keep showing up, and I'm going to keep showing up. And eventually, so anyway, yeah, it's been life changing. Like I said, I love it. Love all the people there. We follow Kurt, big fans of him and
Yeah.
everybody at the other gyms. And yeah, I just got my purple belt, which, like I said,
Congratulations.
yeah, thank you. Yeah, I
It's a big
appreciate that.
accomplishment.
Yeah, it's a big deal, and you act like you don't care, but it's a big deal. I remember my first stripe. Uh, my first stripe as a white belt. I was like, these stripes are so stupid. I'm like, who care? I could care less about a stripe. And I get my first stripe, and I'm like, this is the most amazing thing I've ever happened to me. It's like your first white belt stripe is like, I cannot believe they gave me this.
I
You're so
made it.
excited.
I finally made it, folks.
Yeah. And I've,
And
I've honestly felt like that every time since then. It's like, I've never sat there and said, oh, I deserve this next belt. I'm like, you know, I never really felt like I did, but every time they promoted me along the way. But I enjoyed every part of the journey. Jiu-jitsu has been nothing but a net positive in my world. There's
oh yeah,
nothing negative came out of that. It's like I said,
it's
the
it's the
best people.
hardest road, one of the hardest, most rewarding things I've ever done, and it's super cool because you run across garbage men, car salesmen, doctors, inventors,
Yeah.
plant workers, people that work for Cintas, uh, land developers, real estate, you run across everybody out there. And the cool thing about BJJ, it's perfect analogy for life, is you're not the strongest, you're not the fastest, you're not the biggest, you're not the best. There's always somebody out there better. But if you keep pushing, you're gonna survive this thing. And if you try enough hard enough, you could win. You might have just went through a divorce, a death in a family, you know, your dog passing away, just whatever it is. And after you go into that training class and you train with your friends who are genuinely trying to help you get better and want to see you get better, and you leave out of there, Everything is calm. It's like you got on a sea of glass and you out there at the end of it, and you could drink that bottle of water and just dive your head and you're like, whew, I made it through another one. And it's such a cool feeling, you know?
It's cool, yeah, and definitely the level of confidence you get from knowing, out on the streets that you're safe. Whatever room you go into, this pretty much you can beat up anybody in there. You don't have to worry about it. It gives you a whole nother level of confidence. Not that you would, but you know it, And
Uh-huh.
but then when you go to the gym, you're like, okay, there's 20 people in here that could easily beat me up.
Oh,
It
yeah.
checks your ego again, but be able
Oh,
to
yeah.
defend yourself and defend your family, and that's kind of a cool feeling.
It is, and you could stand there next to anybody, just like you said, and you just like, you see a big old guy, 6'8", somebody like a Marcus over there at your gym. You're like, what's up, bro? I know you're not going to kill me, but we're going to make it through there. And it was cool because I went train with you guys over there in Prairieville, and Robbie told me one time, he's like, Chad. I said, yes, professor. He's like, are you going to breathe? I was like, what? He says, you don't breathe while you're rolling. I said, what? He says, whenever you grab somebody, you just hold your breath. That's why you're gassing out. I was like, really? He said, yeah. And he actually showed me a link to a video where they have some pranayama breathing techniques that were pretty cool that kind of helped me out. And that's one thing that it improved my game a little bit. I'm still terrible, but it
Yeah.
improved my game a little bit.
Robbie's awesome, though. I respect
Good.
him so much. He's just such. I mean, he's just so good at the sport, and I don't
Yes.
know. He's just a good teacher. Like he knows. I don't know. He understands the psychology of teaching or whatever.
Sure.
But I get it whenever he teaches. He really knows. He really knows how our minds think and how we're gonna do the wrong thing. He preemptively knows how we're gonna try. He shows us that it looks so beautiful, and then we do it and look like goobers rolling around there. But he knows that's going to happen, and so he preemptively. He's just a brilliant guy, and so his gym is beautiful. I know you've been to our gym; it's
Yeah.
beautiful. That speaks to his character. He does everything exceptionally, and including his training and the way he runs his business and interacts with his people. So yeah, esteem Robbie. He's one of the best people I think on the earth. So
Yeah. Shout out to Robbie. You're doing a great job out there. What's one of your greatest learning experiences on your journey so far?
in jiu-jitsu talking about or life,
Life.
life. Um, um, I mean, humility always ends up coming back around because there's always someone smarter. Somebody. It's hard for somebody to say that you're like a genius, and it's hard for you to be like thank you. But um, especially when there's somebody that you've been around that's way smarter than you, and the same thing with jujitsu, and it's hard to get kind of puffed up about a lot of different things because there's someone always better than you. But that's irrelevant. I don't care if I'm the best. I'm in my little lane, and I'm loving this beautiful life that God's given me. And yeah, I guess that would be sort of the lesson. Is just love where He's got you because you're not here. You're not where you are accidentally. Um, Whether there is a next level for you, and there's some things He's downloading into you before He takes you to that next level, and He's got the keys to your whole future.
Yeah. 100%. And there's a pastor, a Caribbean pastor, it's Dr. Miles Monroe. He says the two greatest times in your life is the day you're born and the day you discover your purpose. And I think you out there, inventing things and trying to genuinely help people in the world and save lives. I mean, I think that's your purpose. And I joke with people all the time. I tell them whenever I used to be young and I used to go to the bar, before I met my wife, I'd be like, girls would be like, hey, what do you do for a living? I said, I save lives, but you actually out there doing it. You know what I mean?
Well, I haven't done anything. Haven't done anything
Well,
yet. I'm trying though.
yeah, I
I'm
think that
trying though. So.
I think what you're coming up with has the potential of helping out a lot of people, man.
Yeah, I hope so, and hope keep it in prayer. I hope we get the funding that we need. Like I said, I see a lot of opportunities opening up. A lot of people are starting to align with us on that project.
Very cool.
Like I said, I've never asked for money before, so for me to go to someone and say, I don't even want to take their money. I almost want to be like, all right, how much money do you have? Okay, how much can you give me where it won't affect you? That's really my attitude. And then, so yeah, I guess the Lord has given me humility in that, to just be able to say, hey, look, I need help with this. If you got, that's all I do. I need help with it because it needs. I've done, like I said, most of it. I've paid for the patent. I got a beautiful patent, and we've included some of the future aspects of it as far as artificial intelligence. So, and a lot for as far as the using artificial intelligence for targeting purposes. So we've got some really cool licensable things in the patent that I've already paid for. And I got the best patent attorney in Baton Rouge, and I got the best patent written that, in my opinion, they can get for something like this.
Very cool.
And so whoever I do bring on board, my heart is for them to become fabulously blessed from it. I hope it turns around, whatever. But I can't guarantee it, and so that's my hesitation. It's like I'm not excited to give them this great opportunity because I don't know if it's a sure thing. But I'd love for anybody that gets behind me. I'd love to just make their life,
Well, anybody that's going to do something life changing, there's going to be some amount of risk, because if you're doing something safe, the chances are it's not going to change the world. But you have to go out on a limb to accomplish a new, to set the bar on something else. So that's really cool. Very cool. What's one of your biggest insecurities or fears?
I mean, I think everyone has sort of like imposter syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of my biggest insecurity now is, um, you know, maybe I'm in a bubble in my thought process and thinking about this. Like, I want someone to come along. Like I said, I've been working with the sheriff, the SWAT, testing this robot. And honestly, in my heart, I really mean this. I want someone to come along and prove to me why this is a bad idea. Like, in other words, I don't want to. I don't want to um, get all the way down the road and bring people along this journey with me, only to be revealed that it's a bad idea. So I guess my biggest fear would be hurting other people in some kind of capacity that way.
I don't think you're selling Enron stock over there. That's for sure.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm not. I'm not. I just know how hard it was to get the money that I have, and so I would hate that somebody worked really hard for their money. And so, I have some harebrained idea that no one was brave enough to tell me was dumb this whole time, and I just followed it all the way down the road. So, but I don't think it is. Like I said, I really believe in it. I'm gonna keep testing it, and I'm gonna keep going. And if I have to do it by myself, I'm gonna do it by myself. But uh, yeah, I'm gonna keep going. It's worth it. The end result is worth it. I'd love to, like I said, I don't want these teachers to worry about this anymore. I want people to look at a school and say that's not a soft target. I won't be able to go in there and run around and shoot people. I might as well go somewhere else. So if this deter, you mentioned one person, that would be worth it. But if we deterred 50% of that or deter it, it'd be worth it. It'd be worth it. So it's a beautiful.
Well,
go ahead.
Well, and the thing is, if something like this does work, and somebody's going to come to your aid and they're going to invest in you because it's a great idea, but it's just like you're talking about a soft target or something like that. But if you got a harder target and you're going into, let's say, a bank with an armed security guard, or theft deterrent systems with some type of net system that could disable an assailant. And just like if people know that's in schools now, it's gonna raise people's awareness, and it's gonna deter people from doing stuff like that. I'm not saying there's not crazy people out there in the world, but it's gonna help.
Appreciate that. Yeah, well, we're putting together some, just partnered with a great marketing firm, and we're putting together some really professional videography and proof of concept videos. Like, we're going to have the sheriff run an obstacle course. We're going to have a school, and we're going to have these outfitted in the school, and we're going to have them run into different rooms and shoot targets, rubber bullets, and then we're going to activate our system, and we're going to see if we can slow them down. See if we can slow them down or stop them. And
Disable them for 30 seconds.
Yeah, and I don't know if you knew this statistic, but most mass shootings end after 5 minutes. That's about the most of them after 5 minutes. Law enforcement arrives after 10 minutes usually. 80-90% of the time, law enforcement's there. So it's been over for 5 minutes before they get there. It usually takes 3 minutes before anyone calls 911. That makes sort of sense. And then once they call 911, the dispatcher sends someone to the school in general. Well, with our system, as soon as it launches, 1 second later, We send a text message to law enforcement, to all of the teachers, with a map of the school, with the exact location of the shooter. Police can start heading there right now. And with the gunshot library that we're adding to this, we want to be able to tell law enforcement, hey, this is an AR with 9mm rounds and full metal jacket. I mean, the gun library is that precise. We want to analyze that sound, and that way law enforcement knows what they're running into. You know, they have a real up-to-date location. They don't have to put a perimeter around the whole school. They can go to the exact classroom where the incident took place, you know.
So it kind of takes the human element out of it. It takes that fear or that shock out of it.
Yeah. Why? Yeah, exactly. Why do people have to call 911? Especially if you have a school resource officer and he's in the cafeteria, you know. And I believe we could. I don't think we should arm every teacher, but I think we should have some concealed carry teachers who are licensed and trained regularly with the sheriff's group on active shooter situations, and we pay them a ton of money for doing that. I think I'd love for the teachers to get paid a whole lot more, especially if they, you know, they're involved in this battle. But yeah, some people would love to do that. And if the average size school, I did the math, we could 4 concealed carry teachers. Okay, if we divided them strategically throughout the school, you know, this wing of the school have one, this wing of the school have one. If they got that immediate response, like I said, it's within 5 seconds of the shot going off, they would get that, and they should be able to get to that classroom and start engaging the shooter.
Sure.
Sub 20 seconds. They're engaging and shooting rounds back at the shooter. Hopefully, the shooter's dealing with this net still in 20 seconds, and they come in there and they're able to neutralize
them quickly.
Whatever, neutralize them quickly.
Yeah.
So, So I'm excited about this. I want to deal with this. I'll go broke doing it, and it was going to be the honor of my life to go broke doing this for the kids. So
that's right. That's really cool. So is it absolutely? I'll be praying for you, brother. I think that's amazing what you're doing. Is this your greatest sense of accomplishment so far?
No. I believe when the moment I found the Lord, that was like I won life. That's the pinnacle of success, brother.
That's cool.
In 1,000 years, you and I will not be talking about the plants I went and did work in. I promise you, we're going to be talking about that moment you found him, and we'll be talking about the moment that I found him, because that's all that matters. That's the meaning of this life, is to find the true source of joy and love, and it's God.
Yeah. And I heard somebody say one time, they say whenever hell is being absent without God, they say that's what hell really is. And heaven is whenever you pass on and you're actually united with God. And I thought that was pretty cool.
That is cool.
Yeah. So what would you say to, say, young people, 18 to 25-year-olds out there struggling to find their purpose out there, their higher calling?
That's great. I say your purpose is found in God. 100%. Your purpose is found in God. You let God bring out the person that you were created to be. Because I might be invented toilet paper rolls as a law. You know, that gift is still within people. There's still people you can have a good life and a financially successful life. But do you want your true calling and the true person that you were created to be pruned and manicured and brought to the surface in the most incredible way? Is you let God do that. You just lean into God and let him work your life out. And I promise you'll never look back and regret that. That'll be the best decision that you ever made.
Like that. He put a gift in each one of us, and if we actually submit everything that we have, our person and our talents and our will, surely he'll show us what the destiny is he has for our lives. Huh? Beautiful message, man. I love it, brother. I love what you're doing out there.
Did that.
Yeah, I'm glad you came on today. Shout out to you, brother. I appreciate you coming on here. Shameless plug time. Tell everybody how to find you, social media, how to support you on your journey, man.
Okay. J. Gaspard Jr., Facebook, X, Instagram. You can follow me there. We had I'm not really asking for any money on there yet, but stay tuned, and I will ask you for money at some point. But so I appreciate that. Yeah, follow me and share our content, especially related to the robot. There, we like I said, we'd love to do this, and I think South Louisiana bringing something like this to the world would be really cool. Yeah.
It is. Put us on the map, man. But thanks for you, Craig, for coming on here today, guys. You follow this guy because he's got some cool stuff going on. I've been watching his videos, very intrigued. He's got a lot of cool stuff coming down the pipe, inventing stuff out there. You know, he said he's not Leonardo da Vinci, but he definitely has some cool inventions he's putting out there. He's living his higher calling. I hope you guys find your higher calling. And thanks again, Craig. Appreciate you coming on here, brother.
Thanks, brother. Have a good day.
This was fun, man.
It was fun. Thank you.
Yes, sir.